Fine jewelry is much more than its trade value in diamonds, gemstones, and precious metals. It is a very personal representation of lifestyle, emotion, commitment, and more. Given the significance it carries, a lost stone could be devastating to the wearer. But major loss will also weigh heavily on the retailer who sold the piece and the manufacturer who produced it. Taking time to review your work with quality assurance benchmarking criteria is essential to helping you prevent loose or lost round brilliant center stones. In this example, we review criteria for two prong styles, angled prongs and straight prongs. Traditional angled prongs have an angle of 70 to 80 degrees. 40 to 50% of the metal's thickness is removed from the prongs. This area is known as the bearing or seat and must precisely fit the stone's contour when properly set. Any gaps will allow the stone to move or loosen. It must also be cut at a depth that will not allow the stone's pavilion to contact the upper gallery wire. Finished prong height is 75 to 85%, measuring from the girdle to the table. Prong height ensures that there is enough metal to hold the stone securely for long-lasting wear. Prong contact is 33 to 50% of the total crown distance, measuring from the girdle to the table. Adequate prong contact over the crown is critical to a stable setting. Prongs should be rounded, polished, and consistent in size and shape. Benchmarking this center stone with quality criteria exposed errors in workmanship. The bearing was not cut properly, and as a result, the stone has no support. Prong contact is also insufficient and does not properly secure the stone. Too much metal was removed from the prong thickness, so the bearing does not conform to the crown and pavilion angles of the stone, resulting in large gaps. This will cause the stone to loosen through normal wear. As we examine the benchmarking quality criteria for straight prongs, we find straight prongs have a 90-degree angle. The inside of the prong is tapered inward to strengthen it, which allows the bearing to provide sufficient support for the stone's pavilion. 40% of the prong's thickness is removed at the bearing. The stone is seated level, and there are no gaps in any of the bearings. Finished prong height is 80 to 100%, measuring from the girdle to the table. Prong contact is 33% of the total crown distance, measuring from the girdle to the table. Prongs are rounded, polished, and consistent in size and shape. Benchmarking this center stone with the quality criteria exposed errors in workmanship. Small notches were cut for bearings, then the center stone was snapped into place. The bearing does not conform to the pavilion angles of the stone, resulting in large gaps. Prong contact is also insufficient and does not properly secure the stone. The bearing was cut too large above the girdle area with the wrong burr. The large gap in the finished bearing prevents the prong from holding the stone in place. Flashing from creating the bearing was not removed from the lower half of the bearing before the stone was set. Understanding what to look for and following consistently applied benchmarking criteria will ensure your consumers have the best possible jewelry experiences. Now it's your turn. Please review the following 3 examples of errors in workmanship and see if you can identify the issues based on the quality benchmarking criteria. This is a diamond solitaire and from a distance looks magnificent. Upon closer inspection and comparison with quality benchmarking criteria, note the following errors in workmanship. Excessive tool marks. The prong tip is not in contact with the crown, and this will snag clothing and be problematic. The prongs are all a different shape and size. This ring is not satisfactory. The center diamond may become loose, dislodged, and possibly lost during normal wear. Here's a pave ring set with an alexandrite center stone. Note the following errors in workmanship. Large gap at the bearing. Another large gap at this bearing. Excessive tool marks. And the prong top is not in contact with the crown. Here's an emerald and diamond ring. There is no bearing, and no part of the prong is in contact with the crown or pavilion. This center diamond is sure to be lost during normal wear.